Hi, I want to tell you a story about our son Milan. We were driving him to the theater for a big competition, a new competition, and we park the car and we wait, but he does not move. And we try to speak very calm. You're okay, you're gonna be fine, you prepared. And he nods, but he still does not move. Maybe you'll recognize this type of situation.
And a few weeks later, your dancer says something casual, maybe, over the kitchen counter. I'm just not a confident person. And then you freeze because 2 years ago they wouldn't have said that. Well, something has changed, hasn't it? You don't know when or why or even what to do about it. And this episode is about that change, that slow drift from I am scared right now to I am a scared person. Why it happens, why most parents make it worse without meaning to. And this is a very short episode on what you can use the next time something like this happens. Of course, if you find this useful, please subscribe. It's the easiest way to let us know to make more of these episodes.
Last weekend we had a recital and I was in the backstage in the wings with a group of my ballet tinies. They are 7, 8-year-olds. Some of them were very chatty, some were restless, and some were just really quiet. And one of them stopped out of nowhere and said to me, I have this strange feeling in my stomach. I can't describe it. She looked quite worried, actually. She didn't have a word for it. She has the feeling and she has the not knowing what to call it. It is fear arriving in a child's body before they even have the language for it. So I did not say you'll be fine or don't worry about it. What I said is, hey, I feel it too in my stomach. I think it's because we're really excited. We've been practicing this for so long and today is the big day. Let's just breathe in and out and we try to enjoy this. And the children went on stage. They all performed. Also that little girl asking me this question. And the most important thing is what happened just these few seconds before they set foot on stage.
Right. The child has actually just found out that they're not alone and that they're not the only one in the wings feeling it, because her teacher was feeling it too. And that's the whole point about this episode. And most children, unfortunately, will never get told that. They'll get told that they are fine. They'll be fine. They'll look around. Everyone looks fine. And then they come to the only conclusion that an 8-year-old brain can draw. And that is, something must be wrong with me. And I think this is where it starts. And there's this phrase in social psychology, it's called pluralistic ignorance. Is that it means that everyone in the room is feeling the same thing. Yet, everyone's hiding it. So each person will look around, they'll see apparent calm and conclude that their own feeling is abnormal. That shared reality is invisible because everyone's concealing it, of course, but the perceived reality that everyone else is fine is completely false.
Yeah. And the same thing, every dancer is privately convinced that she's the only one feeling sick or nervous. Yeah. You scan the room and the other dancers are laughing or they're stretching or they're putting their hair up. And this dancer concludes she's the broken one. And she's not, because they're all feeling it and we're all hiding it. And the silence is the thing that does the damage. Yeah. It's not the fear.
Yeah, and I think that's why the story in the wings, it really matters, because the child is feeling, oh, I feel it too in the wings, last weekend. And that one piece of information is unfortunately like super tiny, but it's not repeated. Yeah, she knows that the adult next to her is feeling it too. So the next time they have this funny feeling before a class or show, they'll just know where to put it, and instead of it being, what's wrong with me?
Yeah, exactly. And that is what the sport psychologist called Pippa Grange also mentions. She used to work with the England football team and she wrote a book called Fearless. And she makes a distinction that is the most useful thing that we found on this topic while researching it. She says there's actually 2 types of fear. And the first one is what she calls in-the-moment fear. like the story in the wings. It's your stomach drops before you go on stage and your hands shake before the audition, or your heart rate goes up because we had to give a speech.
Yeah.
And that is normal. It's our body telling us this matters.
Yeah.
And adults have it.
Yeah, sure.
The 8-year-olds have it. The Olympic athletes have it. The rock stars have it.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with you when it happens.
Completely understand. I mean, I had to go and give a speech, and it's the first time I'm giving a live speech in front of an audience in Dutch. But I thought, she's here every weekend, every week, giving you this podcast. And so I thought, like, yeah, that should work. And it did work, and it was fine. Of course, I had the same feelings that the stomach was dropping, the heart rate was rising. But I know other techniques on how to calm that feeling down.
Yeah, but the second type is the called not good enough fear. And this one is invisible. It's a little bit creepy. It is the chronic identity level belief that something is wrong with the person experiencing it. It's not I'm scared about this show, but I'm just not the kind of person who can do auditions.
Right.
And unfortunately, one of our dancers, she keeps believing that she's not good enough and that she doesn't deserve to have the chance to perform. So what will happen? The fear is triggered by the emotion, shallow breathing, not getting enough oxygen, and it leads to fainting.
Yeah, so what happened was we ended the show, everything was fine, and then we got a call from the backstage manager. There was one dancer.
Down.
She wasn't unconscious, but she was just not herself anymore. So we had to call the medics, and the fainting is not so bad by itself. I mean, it can happen to a lot of other dancers also, but the fact is that it was self-inflicted.
Yes, and it's a feeling that I'm very familiar with. So that is why this episode is so close to me. The first thing we talk about is the feeling, but like I'm scared of this show. But the second fear is a story that you have started to believe about yourself.
Yeah, because Brené Brown, she describes the same line in different words. She says, guilt is I did something bad, but shame is I am something bad. So it's more in the present. And most children who dance are actually moving from one to the other without anyone noticing.
Yeah, and the trigger, it could be really like anything. It could be such a tiny moment. It might be a class that you don't know the combination and you freeze. It might be a show and you slip and you fall, or something went wrong. It could be a teacher who looked frustrated in your direction.
But they didn't have the time, let's say, to
tell you why.
Yeah, why? Yeah.
And there's no real danger in that moment. There's no lion chasing you. But the thing is, the child is left with the explanation and she's thinking of something that is not a real danger.
Yeah, it's just usually the worst thought that comes to their...
Yeah, I'm not good enough.
Yeah, I'm not a confident person. And it's not a description. It becomes a foregone conclusion that they've drawn all along, from a series of unnamed...
events.
Yeah, moments, yeah. This is going to be a little bit uncomfortable for us. When you say you'll be fine, you actually mean it kindly. You are trying to soothe them. You're trying to take the panic out of the moment, of course. You love them, for sure, and you don't want them to feel them bad. But what the child is actually feeling is different. What they are hearing at that point in time is, this feeling that I have right now is not allowed. Because the adult in the room is telling me not to have that feeling. I need to move past it. They've moved past it, but I am the only one stuck with it.
The first time I felt really, really anxious, the adult next to me said, just be normal, just behave. So
just behave.
Just behave, just be normal.
Something ridiculous.
The anxiety got bigger, of course, right? So it's not like you did something wrong. You didn't tell that she's broken. You haven't said anything cruel. You've just removed witness. You skipped over the part where she gets to have the feeling in front of someone who isn't trying to fix it.
Yeah.
And this is the part nobody tells you, the be positive, push through instinct that we all have, especially our generation. What teaches children that fear is something shameful. I really felt ashamed to be fearful.
Yeah.
And it's not because we are bad parents, it's because we are doing the most natural thing in the world. We're trying to make our child feel better.
Research tells us that the first part to to tackle this
anxiety,
this
fear.
issue, is to label it first. So when you put an emotional experience into words, your brain will regulate that differently. The thing is that naming it does not make the fear go away. It just changes how the brain handles this. So we have to be really careful here, because the popular version of this finding is name an emotion and the amygdala calms down within a few seconds. That's the oversimplification.
7 seconds of magic.
Naming it reduces the brain's emotional reactivity, and that is enough.
To all parents listening to this, parents matter more than parents think. A study published in 2023, they followed parents who consistently dismissed their children's negative emotions with the best intentions. And they tracked the children's outcomes over years. And the children of the dismissing parents, they had higher rates of anxiety and lower emotional regulation than the children of the parents who acknowledged the feelings first. And the mechanism wasn't cruelty. It was like minimizing the fear and then repeating that 1,000 times.
Yeah, I mean, if you actually look at a lot of adults today,
they're also fearful about a lot of
I
things.
understand completely. These are uncertain times, and a lot of parents are overwhelmed by everything,
yeah.
work and their children's hobbies and the studies
and health and
all of those.
finances.
Exactly. And they're overwhelmed, but no one will dare to say that. And so they have this like certain shame that they feel like, yeah, I can't handle my problems.
Yeah.
But
maybe the 3 sentences that I'm going to share with you might also help for the adults. So the first sentence is, the first advice is, 1, you name it. You name what you see. You seem nervous. That's it. You're not trying to fix anything yet. You're just letting them know that you can see what they are feeling. The feeling is visible between the two of you instead of locked inside. Or you can offer a guess. Maybe nervous is not the right word. Maybe it's, are you angry? Are you anxious? Are you tired? It's not an interrogation, but you're giving your child a language that maybe they don't have yet.
Yeah. And number 2 is normalize it. That makes complete sense. And because this matters to you, and you're telling them 2 things at one time, right? First, that the feeling is not a certain type of malfunction. It's a reasonable response to something that matters to anyone. Yeah. So, and you're not above this also as a parent. You can tell them, yeah, I also feel nervous when I have to go into a meeting or I have to give a presentation. So they don't feel like they are alone in this. And if you can add that moment in, that's just amazing. It feels like you're undermining your authority to admit that you also get scared.
That you're weak or something.
Yeah, but it's actually the opposite. Children who know that the parents also have these fearful moments, but yet they show up, they now have actual evidence that the fear is survivable.
It's like a bungee jump. You're scared, you say 3, 2, 1, do it, and you still jump, right? Be scared and do it anyway. That brings us to 3. You separate the fear from what comes next. And this was a new one in our study. We didn't know this before publishing this episode. It means you can tell your child, you could go in feeling exactly like this. You can go on stage feeling exactly like this. You're not trying to say, first you calm down, then you go in. Or you cannot be anxious before going on stage.
Or that you first need to remove the problem before you go on the stage.
Before doing it.
Yeah.
You can take your exam while feeling nervous.
Yeah, you can go into your class, your audition,
Yeah.
while feeling the feeling. But of course, not trying to change the fear.
Yeah, no. You can just feel like that and do it anyway. If you're a teacher listening to this is also yours to use, because the story in the wings might be helpful for your own students.
Some teachers or parents, and especially old school coaches, will tell us that talking about fear before a performance will actually make it worse. And that focusing on it will make it grow, and that we should be looking forward and not dwelling on our problems. But there is a difference between naming the fear and then rehearsing, right? Because naming is short. That means you seem nervous. Okay, that makes sense. But can we please go on? and we just move on to the next thing that we have to do in the checklist. But rehearsing fear is different, because rehearsing is when you and, let's say, your dancer are ruminating for the next 45 minutes, going over every reason why something could mess up. Well,
Yeah,
that is a naming that's just feeding
the wrong story. It's a doom thinking loop that you'll never get out. And the research lines up here. Brief affect labeling, then followed by action, and that reduces emotional reactivity. While extended rumination on the feeling, going over and over and over the anxiety again,
without a clear
action.
path to go forward.
Yeah, it makes it worse. So you name it, you sit with your child in it for a minute or so, and then you help them decide what to do with it.
Yeah, and the ignore it approach is what we've been doing for decades now. And unfortunately, that's just not working. If you look at the amount of performance anxiety in dance right now, something is clearly not working.
Yeah, so not talking about it doesn't help.
No, yeah. So before the next class or the show, like, just ask them how they're feeling, and just wait. So in closing, I think the most loving thing you can do for your dancer is to not protect them from their fear. Just sit with them in their fear, just long enough, often enough that they stop believing that the fear is something, means something is wrong with them. And after enough times of having witnessed this, and without being rescued from it, that fear will stop becoming their identity. It goes back to being what it always was, is just a feeling. So thanks for being here. We'll catch you in the next one. Dream it, do it, and give it.
Bye.